Alice. So, let's talk about virtual assessment and some other things too. And if you've been following these videos for a while, you may realize Justin has used this particular theme before. I have. And once again, I didn't change the stock photos that came with it because I thought that they, once again, fit perfectly with our theme for today. And our theme for today is, what do we do when it's a hard choice? If you've ever been to Starbucks or anywhere else to get coffee with me, you know that sometimes I know exactly what I want, and sometimes I'm standing there thinking, ooh, that sounds good. Oh, that sounds better. Oh, that sounds wonderful. What do you do when it's a hard choice? When it's totally natural to want more than one thing? We've all been there, whether it's with coffee or with something else. A lot of us are there right now. A lot of us are stuck, whether it's in our teaching life or our assessing life, our planning and grading and preparing and living life in a pandemic. We're stuck because we want more than one thing. And it's totally natural to want more than one thing. And I think about my father. My dad was pretty severely diabetic for a while. But before that, and sometimes during that time, there would often be a conversation with the waiter at a restaurant that went a little bit like this. Sir, would you like the pie or the cake for dessert? And he would say, yes, please. And my stepmom would say, no, you can't have it. And he would sigh, and he would have coffee. But he really wanted the pie and the cake. However, more than either the pie or the cake, my dad wanted to live. And he wanted to live well, and he didn't want to be in the hospital having terrible things that can happen to diabetics. So my dad made the difficult choice. And it wasn't that he didn't want the pie, because he did. It wasn't that he didn't want the cake, because he definitely did. But there was something that he wanted more. So, which of those things do you want more? I mean, those are all the same thing, right? They're just three different views of the same thing. So if you want that beautiful looking cup on the right, you do have to have the beans, the grinding, the steaming, the foaming, the paying the barista, unless you are really, really good. If you can make that leaf pattern, I'm jealous. But sometimes there is actually not the choice that there appears to be. That's the good news. The good news is sometimes you don't actually have to choose. Sometimes you can have all the things. We found some low calorie, low sugar, diabetic desserts, and my dad was able to have on certain days, on Thanksgiving, for example, he was able to have the pie and the cake. He was so happy. And he didn't have to go to the hospital. But there's bad news because sometimes you actually do have to choose. He had to choose the low calorie, low sugar, diabetic friendly desserts. Sometimes we have to choose too. And if you're totally overwhelmed right now, you may have this choice. On the one hand, you've got your good old good teacher story that says, I have to do all these things. I have to do all these things to be a good teacher, and if I even stop doing one of those things, I'll be a bad teacher. And on the other hand, you've got your long-term health and what's best for your family and you. And you may not be able to have your old good teacher story and your long-term health and your family's happiness. But you're the only one who can choose, right? Nobody else can make that choice for you. And if you're struggling with something, if you're struggling with how do I'm feeling okay about many things, but there's one or two or three areas of teaching in this strange new world that's just a big struggle for me. Again, you may have this choice. On the one side, you've got your good old good teacher story, which says, I've got to do it this way because that's what good teachers do. And if I do something differently, Maybe I'll be a bad teacher. I don't want that. But on the other side, there may be a solution that will get you out of that overwhelm. But you can't have your old good teacher story and that new solution. You may have to decide. And for most of us, most of the time, I mean, just even before the pandemic, in good old ordinary times, there would come a choice like this. Sometimes the way that things are is kind of painful. And on the one side, we've got the pain that comes with things being the way they are. And on the other side, we have the pain that comes from changing things. There may not be a way to completely avoid some kind of discomfort. But again, we get to choose. I have a friend who we have this conversation a fair amount of times, and my friend Lisa said to me, how do I choose? And I said, well, I know how you choose. I know how I choose. We tend to stay the same until the pain of things the way they are is more painful than the pain of changing things. And then we change. So, if the way things are is getting pretty painful, and you're thinking, I feel a little bit like that coffee bean going into the grinder, and then I feel like I'm being scalded by scalding hot steam and boiling water, and hopefully not boiling, close to boiling water and foaming milk. You got a choice. You can sit there feeling the pain, or you can get some help. You can reach out. You can change your story a little bit and realize, oh, this is my opportunity to take that and transform it into something as wonderful as this. Okay, maybe not as wonderful as that, but something a lot more wonderful than what I have now. And all I got to do is remember that it doesn't have to be difficult. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be this hard. Reach out, get in touch, look at your story, see if it's working. And remember, if you don't like it, you get to change it. And we do not have to do this work alone. So until we see each other the next time and talk some more about these things, Walete Sodales.